welcome everyone to this roundtable dialogue with some of the leading thinkers in the complex risk management and agility environment today. We're going to run this as a panel discussion and dialogue together with Leo Tilman, President and CEO of Tilman and Company, a global strategic advisory, with his co-author, Chuck Jacoby. They've written a book called Agility, which came out at a prescient moment just over a year ago. We're going to explore that a bit together today. Leo's been a longtime advisor to companies, governments, and investors around the world, held senior positions with BlackRock, Capital Peak and Bear Stearns, where he was chief institutional strategist and senior managing director. His co-author, General Chuck Jacoby, is a military leader whose career in uniform culminated as four-star commander of North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD, and U.S. Northern Command. He's also headed the federal military response to Hurricane Sandy and commanded the 135,000-member multinational corps during Operation Iraqi Freedom back in 2009-2010. And joining Leo and Chuck is David Rubens, who many of you will know. David founded the Institute for Strategic Risk Management in 2019 and was very closely thereafter named the '1 global thought leadership influencer in a 2019 poll of security influencers around the world. He's worked with organizations across the UK and the Middle East and others around the world, holding a doctorate in security and risk management. And I was intrigued to read about his thesis dealing with models of strategic management at the extremes of organizational complexity, issues of capability development, decision-making, and multi-agency interoperability in unstable situations. Gosh, that sounds familiar. I'd love to open maybe with a question for David and then invite Chuck and Leo to weigh in on this as well. David, as you look at ISRM and you look at what's going on in the world today, and you look at the growth going on, in particular interest in this area, beyond sort of the immediate and obvious conditions, what would you say is drawing people to look more closely at risk and agility?
Okay, no soft entry on that one then, is there, Evan? Thanks for that. So where are the flowers and the wine? I mean, seriously, it's a damn good question. It's a damn good question. And like most questions, actually what it does, it works on two levels, because it asks the questions. And the underlying fundamental question is, what is it you think you believe? I mean, what are your fundamental underlying belief stratagems? And it is a question about the reality of the universe we live in right now. What is the risk environment we're living in right now? And it seems to me that we are having to genuinely question that. Change is natural. Change is part of the universe we live in, and so is high impact change. We've seen change throughout history. The question, I think, is whether the change that we are going through today, now, is that evolutionary? Is that just a natural part of, stuff happens? Or is it evolutionary, which is basically a collapsing of the system and a rebuilding, but nevertheless using the same fundamental frameworks and paradigms? Or is it mutational? Are we seeing a mutational shift in the risk environment? In which case, if it's mutational, then that's basically a species jump, which says that the paradigms and the methodologies and even the languages and the metaphor that we were using for risk previously doesn't make the metaphor jump. So I think the reason that people are asking these questions is because it has a very, very real impact on the way they try and model what we do. The whole underlying fundamental belief of risk management is we can look to the past, we can model the future, and we can model the present, and we can project into the future. That is risk management. Yeah. But if we're using the word unprecedented, then that means that doesn't work. Because if it's unprecedented, it doesn't work off that paradigm. And so if we're looking at, for example, cities without water, if we're looking at hyper-complex and hyper-urbanization, At some stage, we're going to have a 36-hour traffic jam in Bangkok or in Lagos or in Cairo or somewhere. It's going to, or Rome or Moscow. It's going to close down, and you're just not going to be able to get out of it. Well, I've been in a few of those. I've been in 7-hour traffic jams in Lagos. And you think, how the hell are we going to get? What's going to happen when we have a 36-hour traffic jam? I was in the Middle East many years ago, a few years ago. 42 degrees was hot, and 46, 47 degrees was the limit of human capacity. Now 54 degrees is normal. That is normal background standard environment. Right. So what happens when it moves to 60?
Yeah.
And the answer is it's going to happen whether we deal with it or not. And I think that for those of us who are working with complex risks, those are the sorts of big questions we're dealing with.
Yeah, thank you. Great opening there. I love the positioning, sort of the existential question. I guess let me invite Leo to follow up there. What do you see drawing people in to this a greater focus right now on risk and especially capabilities that might relate to agility? Muted. Yeah, we can't hear you, Leo. No.
No, you're not muted.
No sound.
Can you, do you all have me on the line? Can you
hear
me?
Yes, we can hear you, Chuck. Maybe let Leo see if he can troubleshoot there a little bit. Yeah. What would you say, I guess, in response there?
Yeah, I'll dive in on it. Our book was, a little bit more theory and practice than just practice. It was, we thought that there was important events that were unfolding, but they were rooted in a theoretical model that could provide us some insights in how to judge the realities that we are facing against a framework, and then make conclusions about how we were doing. And you'll notice in the book there's quite a bit of quoting of Clausewitz, who was really the theoretician about war, but truly it was about competition. And it was, to me, a very complex theory and practice book about competitive environments and how to deal with competitive environments. And I guess as we went through the book, and we spent almost 5 years writing it, we kind of came to a broader conclusion that you go through periods of time where a competition is very intense and can be existential, and black swans are popping up at quicker rates than before, and then you go through periods where it seems to ease off. And frankly, when we published the book in October, we thought this may not be a great time to publish this book. Everything's swimming along nicely. Everybody we talked to thought they were doing just fine. Very, very curious book you've written. And we like the fact that you've defined agility for us, because we're using 20 different words to mean the same thing. But we're doing pretty well here, and stock market's way up and almost full employment and blah, 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 blah. And so we thought, okay, well, that's not the world that is normal. That's the world that's an interlude between, spasms of human endeavor where competitive juices are flowing, or environmental changes are taking place, or one thing after to really bring us back to the reality that we live in a world of disruption, and humans are part of the disruption. And human competition, whether it's geopolitical or competition for resources or what have you, is going to be at the heart of that disruption. And that really, really capable, successful organizations and people, whether they defined it as agility or not, they have certain capacities and capabilities that we thought tried to identify, explain, put into a structure that we called agility as really a foundational skill set or capability that successful people and successful organizations require to navigate the unknown and seize opportunity in a world of disruption. And so I would say that folks are already talking about 2020 like it was the apocalypse happened. And, gosh, thank goodness, how many times did we hear, thank goodness 2020 is over? And I'm already starting to hear, holy cow, 2021's got its problems too. So I think that folks have this realization now that we're back in a competitive environment. Now we're not just competing with the virus, we're competing with some ideologies, we're competing with geopolitical, we're competing with belief systems. And I think that organizations are finding it more important to take a deep breath and try to think more strategically and holistically about what are the risks and opportunities. Because the best companies, the most successful people, say that in one breath: risk and opportunity. They don't just say risk. Or you go find an old Minuteman silo and you build a hole in a home inside a Minuteman silo. Leo, are you back up yet? And save me from myself? No, he's not back up.
No, still can't hear you.
Leo, try and do it through sign language. See how.
If you want me to be quiet, just do the hand and arm signal.
Jack, can I come to a point? Leo, you back with us? No.
Yeah.
No, alas.
Alas.
No microphone.
Oh, yeah. Chuck, can I come and ask you a question then?
Sure.
I'm going to do an Evan. I'm going to go in straight in. You talk about sort of understanding the fundamental belief systems that we believe in.
Yeah.
From the outside, what we've seen in America over the last few years has been frightening, and certainly over the last 3 months. It just shows, how fragile that facade, or how quickly it can go over to the dark side. Are there lessons there for? Is that just a historical anomaly? We carry on, mate. Or are there lessons there for us in terms of the complex and challenging world where we're coming into?
Yeah, I think that there's been some complacency maybe up front, and there's been some assumptions being made that haven't proven out. I would say though that I can't help throwing a little history in here. I'm a little bit of a history buff and taught it for a while at the military academy. But we periodically go through these things where we have a series of questions that we ask ourselves as a country about the role of government in our lives. And we've gone back and forth on it, and we've gone back and forth on it with our sleeves rolled up and bare knuckles a couple of times. And so I think we're having one of those times. I tell people I'm a short-term pessimist and a long-term optimist because we've got a system that's better than we as a people are sometimes. And so that's my long-term optimism, is that, the belief in freedom and the power of individuals and those kinds of things are going to continue to be powerful parts of our belief system. But I think we're questioning some of our institutions right now, and whether maybe the institutions are serving our needs like they have done in the past. So I wouldn't be frightened. If I was the rest of the world, I'd be frightened if America wasn't competing, if not with geopolitical rivals, but with ourselves. That's how we get better. So.
Excuse me for misquoting an iconic American quote, but something along the lines of, the curve of history is long, but it tends towards justice, or something like, something like that.